a very good system. By the time you get to this chair, you have been through so much and you've learned so much that you're ready for it. You know, it's not like you're just thrown into the chair with no training and
it pays so well, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah. Oh, it's excellent.
Right. You're going to double your
salary.
salary.
I'm still trying to catch up.
Get that check.
In fact, after you leave, you'll be paid the same amount, right?
Yeah, right. Good thing you left.
I think after I leave, I'll be paid a little more.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So, Rod, you said if you had predicted 3 years ago what the show would look like today, it'd be different. What you'd think there'd be more Chinese 3 years ago, or what?
Well, I thought there might be a few more. Part of that, we had 4 or 5 4 years ago. Of course, the economy changed in that game too, but they came in just to be first with their country, let's say, to be at the show to make some noise. Now they will not come back in until they feel like they have a product that will compete side by side with the other cars.
Right.
So that's that part. But the rest had to do with all the manufacturers that used to be, even the Hummer, you name it, Pontiac and the others.
Right.
And who's with who. You know, Volvo was in Ford, now it's
Chinese.
So
right. And Jaguar and Land Rover, who are not at the show because they're going to the Delhi show in India, are part of Tata.
An toy, one of the awards. I mean, it's a...
Well, that's what I said on one of my reports, is it'd be real embarrassing if the Evoque won and nobody's there to win the award.
How should we handle that, John?
I'll get up and accept it for him.
That's right. Right.
You know, they don't...
They have to get credentials first, too. So.
Well, that happened to us before. I remember there was one big snowy auto show where Jeep won, the Jeep Wrangler, or Grand Cherokee won. This goes back quite a few years ago, 10 years ago, and nobody made it in. And we were like, wait a minute. So what if there's a big snowstorm? We're here. Yeah. We're the guys with the Grand Cherokee. So it's happened before, but I'm sure they'll have somebody here from their U.S. offices.
They'll be on site, and the moment will be had whoever comes out on top, per your predictions, of course, but we'll see how that day comes. But it's a great opening for the show because all the media that come in the 2000, for that portion alone, I don't know how many we have in there, but I'd say 2 to 3. They love that opening. It's such a great splash.
It is, and that award has really grown into probably, I would, of course, I'm on the jury, I'm biased, I helped start the award, but I'd say it's, for the automakers, the most prestigious award to win right now. Because, you know, it's a whole bunch of us, journalists, 50 of us, we don't get paid to do this, we don't get any advertising, there's no skin in the game on our part for it. So whatever we think is the best is what we think is the best. It's not like our publisher is saying, hey, pick this car because they have a big advertising budget, which happened in the past with some magazines. But so anyway, I think for the automakers, it's a big...
Do you guys ever talk while you're driving the cars in regard to that period of time? Do you compare notes? Or, or is it...
Oh, yeah.
And do you ever agree? Sometimes you don't agree.
On what car should be car of the year?
Well, I mean,
we
even,
have had...
even from the car itself and the quality and the
Oh, absolutely. And that's half the fun of it,
yeah,
is the big arguments that we have, the huge arguments that we have. This car's great. No, it's not. We've had people quit the jury based on what car won.
Oh my!
Now that's very, very rare, but we've had people say, well, if they're going to vote for that, I'll have nothing to do with this. I'm off, and go away in a big huff. So even that has happened. I mean, people are passionate about this. They really believe in it.
That's great. I had no idea. Well, I'm going to be sharing that for sure now with my,
right.
It's out there.
I'll tell you afterwards who quit.
Okay.
But I don't want to go, talking about names right now. Hey, let's take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see if we got any questions here.
That'd be great.
Ben, let's bring up the next one.
Of people here.
Oh yeah, all over the map.
That's great.
All over the map.
Simon in Tokyo.
Simon in Tokyo is a big listener. Peter Horbury, who's over in Sweden now and might be moving to China, is a big fan of the show.
That's really good.
Carl Ludvigsen in London, who will be on the show in a couple of weeks' time. So
Simon's rules.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You know, you guys must go way back. I can tell you a little bit of the way you guys interact.
No, we don't, really.
No, we don't. Hey, Ben, what's going on?
You're up.
Oh, we're up. Okay, folks. Well, the music just ended, so. Oh, that's right, it was a 15. Anyway, Ben, it's time for rapid fire. Let's get the show started. Okay, we call it rapid fire because we try to keep the answers short. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's what we shoot for. Okay, guest wants to know, what kind of research do the NAIAS folks do to improve the show? Do they visit other shows around the world?
Yes, we do. We go to, I'd say we go to every major show: Geneva, Paris, Frankfurt, Shanghai, Beijing, every North American major show: New York, Chicago, LA. And believe it or not, we get a lot of things to bring back and to try at our show. And we try to make sure that we stay on that cutting edge, bringing in, new displays. This year we have a mobility display to, assist the handicapped people in their transportation needs. And we try to do a lot of things. 2 years ago it was Electric Avenue. It's been interesting, but we learn a lot by going to the various shows. And yes, we do attend them, quite a few.
And I'm sure it's the other way around. I'm sure you guys get visited and cherry-picked for good ideas, too.
We actually go as far. In fact, I go to a meeting every year with our PR guy, Joe Rutinsky. You probably know Joe a little bit.
I do.
But
he's only there off stage here.
Yeah, I got to do that just.
Hell of a guy.
That's right.
But we have a meeting we go to in Geneva with all the shows that around the world, and they're small shows. We're talking Barcelona to whatever. And there'll be 35 shows there, and they translate it in 2 or 3 languages. I feel like I'm at the,
the UN.
Yeah, UN or something. But there's a lot of sharing of ideas. It's a great, great meeting. Learn a lot culturally and everything else. So, and that comes a big part. When you have a show that's international, if you want to stay international, you have to understand that part of it too.
Okay, Thor says, who's not at the show that you would like to see at the NAIAS?
Land Rover and Jaguar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
I would really like to see them.
Yeah. I'll add to that a little bit more too. We, the luxury cars, some of the Uber luxury, whatever you want to call that, lines, with Lamborghini and all, we used to have more of that, but they've dropped out of a lot of shows. They've got their own audience they have and the way they market. So we have the gallery event, which I got to plug.
Explain that a little bit, yeah, because we didn't get into that earlier.
We learned 4 or 5 years ago that it's hard for them that are smaller coach builder types like that to afford to be in shows where they have to build big displays. And they, just different margins, whatever it may be. So seeing that trend, we took a different venue where they didn't have to build displays because it's all about the car. And now you got Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, and all these, Bentley, you name it, all in this area at the MGM, which is a great backdrop, and then bring Black Card members, Centurion, American Express members, and others that are in the market for that car into Detroit. And plus they can gamble at the casino too if they like. But in the end, you have 400 or 500 people that they care about, the manufacturer cares about too.
Well, so and that's the key, is you're bringing an upscale, wealthy audience into literally a private showing for all these high-end cars.
And it works the same time as the North American Auto Show. But, and the public days would be nice to have more of that at the show. And we have some of that, don't get me wrong. But the gallery has its own area and niche. And
yeah. Glenn E. says, how can Fiat take more of control of Chrysler when the Dart doesn't really get 40 miles per gallon from what I have read?
Well, the government says it does.
Yeah.
They've already handed over the additional 5%, so.
Well, I don't think anybody's driven the Dart yet. None of us in the media, or at least none of us who have driven it, if anyone has published anything.
Right.
It should get 40 miles per gallon on the highway.
Yeah.
Do you think that's by design, John, that you haven't been allowed to drive it, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes they'll bring the enthusiast press in, the buff books, Rotatrack, Motor Trend, blah, 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 because it takes them so long to turn their issues around. I mean, it takes them literally several months to get an issue out. This in a day where we can tweet whatever in 2 seconds. Right. So to give them that lead time, sometimes they get invited in early, and I know all that from my days at Road and Track. George from Brooklyn says, question for John, have you considered returning to the Autoblog podcast? Yeah, anytime they want to invite me, I'd love to go do that. DC Auto Geek says, Chrysler announced the 300 had its best December ever, yet according to True Car, the 300 was selling for $7,500 below MSRP. Can the 300 stay competitive with huge incentives?
Well, Chrysler insists that they're doing it with reduced incentives, but every time I look, they're really laying on the incentives. I think the 300 has been a disappointment for Chrysler.
I think it has, although maybe these incentives are out there and they're working.
Well, they're
Sales last month weren't half bad.
Yeah, but they are working. I mean, you put enough money on the hood,
Right.
people are going to drive them off the lot.
Well, Bill, you're a car dealer, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, and I think GM has done a good job in discipline, having discipline with incentives. I mean, we're still competitive, but we don't have near the incentives out there that we used to have. And I think the other thing that is beginning to help us is that the leasing market is starting to come back, and by the GM having this discipline, the residual values have increased, so they don't have to put as much out there, and we can remain competitive. And I think that's a real positive for GM.
Yeah, it's like we've been talking about here for years. Isn't it amazing what happens when you put out good competitive product? Boy, so many problems just go away.
Yeah, really.
Jeff W. has a question for you, Peter. It was recently announced that Lincoln was going to open its own in-house ad agency. Has this been done before, and is it a good move?
Oh, it has been done before over the years, and it is an excellent move. And this is an agency that is going to be in New York, and it's still affiliated with it's a WPP agency. It's affiliated with Team Detroit, which is Ford's agency in Dearborn, and there'll be some operatives in Team Detroit, but the main agency will be in New York, and I think it's a real smart move because they really want to get the Lincoln, the essence of Lincoln to be reimagined, and they don't want any residual. They want the heritage to be represented, but going forward they need just a new day, a new outlook for Lincoln, and I think it's important that they're doing this.
What's the advantages or disadvantages of doing an in-house agency versus hiring someone?
Well, there's really, it depends on how it's set up, and it all depends on the people. You can have an in-house agency with the right people that'll be gangbusters. You can have an in-house agency with the wrong people that will stink up the joint. It's all about the people, and judging from what I've seen that WPP is putting together for Ford, for Lincoln, they've got some of the best people involved, so it's going to be very interesting.
Mitch says, for Peter, can you tell us how you liked living with your Ford and Audi?
I love the Fiesta. Audi S4 is a spectacular car. I mean, I can't say enough on either product. Now, my Fiesta was a manual gearbox, so I didn't have any problem with
No DCT problems for Peter.
I just wound the hell out of it and shifted.
Like a car should be properly driven. Absolutely.
And the S4,
that's what those motor machines want.
I mean, you know, you've driven the S4. It's
just
hard
awesome
to find fault with the car. So.
Hey, Ben, we got a phoner here. Let's bring that one in.
Hello, guys. It's Jonathan out in Old Bataan. Just saying hello. Happy New Year. Wanted to let you know I love the show. Peter, John, and all you guests are always fantastic. It's been an enjoyable year listening. This evening, I'm sure, will be great as well. The cars I'm most excited about for the Detroit show so far, from Peter's interpretation and yours, is the Ford Fusion, the Dodge Start, and possibly the new Lincoln. And I'm pretty much a GM guy, but I enjoy looking at all the different products coming out, and it looks like the Fusion, the Dart, and the new Lincoln are real exciting. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work, and I always enjoy the show.
Well, the ATS and Cadillac will be interesting too.
Yeah.
And actually the production version of the XTS is going to be interesting as well for people who haven't seen it.
Thanks for the call, Jonathan. Mitch has a question for you guys. How much business does the show generate outside the hall?
Well, we always get a lift from the show. You know, being a car dealer and being in the Detroit metro area, anytime there's an auto show and people get a chance to go out, touch and feel the products, learn about them, what they're really doing is forming their shopping list. They go down, they look at the different cars, and then they come and buy. So yes, we get a lot of business out of the auto show.
Does the show help executives meet each other during the show?
I think if they want to.
Yeah, that's right. These guys are competitive.
Yeah.
I think that goes on, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
at any show, but you see a lot of it at Detroit.
Well, you know, you see when they're all walking around themselves, checking out the competition, and then they, you know, feign how much they like their competitors. And,
You know, it's very interesting, John. Last year, you know, naturally we start very early. Last year we started at 6 a.m. And we were on the floor at about 5:30 a.m. And believe it or not, we saw executives walking around looking at the competition. And it was different. I was surprised to see that.
I personally love the early door opening a lot. I think that's very cool. What time is it open Monday?
6 a.m.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But not for the press.
Oh, no,
Yeah, right.
no, that's right. The credentials open at 6 a.m. It looks like the show floor is 6:30.
You'll be there, though.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And here's another question. Do the cars get damaged during the show by kids?
Well, let me say this. You know, cigarette lighters get pulled off, knobs get pulled off. Yes, there is some of that, but not a lot. It's not bad.
You know, the irony of sort is during industry preview days, which are the 2 days before charity preview and public days, we have suppliers in from all over the world, 20 some odd countries and 20,000 people. And when they see something that they make, it may disappear suddenly. They take it with them. You think I'm kidding. I probably have more damage during that week than I do public days.
And that's what we
Parts
should
missing.
You know, I've always said the Detroit show is really like 4 shows in one. First you get 2 days of the media, and we in the media look at the show with one set of eyes. And then you have the industry days, and it's suppliers and people who work at the car companies. And you'll see them peering intently at a door hinge.
Right, yeah.
And they'll be measuring it, or they'll have a hose clamp, and they'll have serious discussions about it. It's just hilarious. And then you have the charity preview, which we call the prom, because everyone shows up in their gowns and tuxedos. And then you have the public days. So and each one of those groups looks at the show with a totally different set of eyes.
Yeah.
I think it's just
And you can add now one more piece, the gallery event.
Yeah, and the gallery. Okay, there you go.
We talk citywide and not just at Cobo Hall. So yeah, we're adding on to that even now.
That's
the
cool.
Mardi Gras I was telling you about.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Feeling the magic.
Yeah. George from Brooklyn wants to know, what new model will flop in 2012? I'd say all the electrics.
Ooh.
I think the electrification thing is, you know, that's really questionable.
George from Brooklyn also says, I'm disappointed by the lack of pastrami, whiskey, or New York Mets on this program.
You know, you picked the right guys to change that.
Well, yeah, we could change it.
We could change that.
Yeah. And Jim Franstreb says, I think Franstreb, I think I got that right. He says, it looks like the combined GM Ford Chrysler market share could be almost 48%. Where does it go from there? Up, down, or stay the same? Can it get back to 60% again?
I would say no.
No, I would say
I
no.
don't see that, but I do see the domestics remaining competitive. I don't think if it drops at all, I think it will take a couple of years. But I think the domestics have gotten the message, and I think the products that they're unveiling now are just excellent products. And the difference, you know, as a dealer, and I can attest to this, people want to buy the products that we have to sell. And that's a big difference. Used to be, you know, if we didn't have a good deal on it, we didn't sell the product. Now we have people coming in because they want to buy that product. And that's the difference for the domestics. I think they've done a good job with the products they're bringing out.
Well, that's cool. That's good to hear. And look, we're just about at the top of the hour. That's probably a good note to wrap this up on.
Except
what?
Final score Saturday night, Detroit Lions 48, New Orleans Saints 45.
Whoa.
Oh.
I'm predicting an upset.
It's a shootout, though.
Right.
It's a shootout, and I think the Lions are going to shock the world.
I tell you, they
Just
look
saying.
real good this past week.
They did,
They look
yeah.
real good. They should have won that game.
In fact, maybe they did.
Well,
There
you're
was
right.
one
Yeah.
call there
Yeah, it
that
was
sure
a
looked
close
like a
call.
touchdown to me.
Chip is just questioning my intelligence. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. But anyway,
Thanks, guys.
Bill Perkins, yeah, Rod Alberts, this was cool. Can't wait to get to the show. I don't care if I get burned to a crisp at the end of the week. I don't care if my brain is fried.
Then we've done our job.
Then you've done your job. I'm looking forward
Pleasure
to
to be
it.
with you guys.
Thank you.
Cool.
We enjoyed it.
Peter, and great seeing you, and I'll see you down at the show,
Yeah,
too.
well, we'll see each other before the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Various
We got various dinners and whatnot coming up. So, yeah, thanks, everybody, for having tuned in.
Autoline After Hours is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence. Chevrolet, the all-new Chevrolet Cruze. Get used to more. And by Hyundai Elantra, winner of the ALG Residual Value Award 2 years in a row.
John, we'll sit
Yeah,
down there.
take care.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
see ya.
so much.
Thanks, everybody, for having tuned in. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/AutolineDetroit. Follow us at twitter.com/Autoline. Follow Peter at twitter.com/Autoextremist or go to Autoextremist.com. Don't forget that you can subscribe for our newsletter for free. Check that out on our website. And click on some of those sponsor logos. Show those sponsors that you really appreciate this show. Don't forget, Roundabout will be on Saturday, not tomorrow night, but Saturday at 5:30. And they're going to be doing a lot of auto show coverage on that. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in a week.
And our live webcast, John.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And we'll be doing a live webcast Monday and Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time at Autoline.tv. Good. This was good with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I don't know. I'm just feeling an upset coming. That would be
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Oh, can you imagine? This town will be rocking.